Good morning, guys, and welcome to my show. Welcome to a new episode of The Reason You Are Broke. Today, we're coming to you live from Montreal and we're only broadcasting on YouTube. So, thank you for joining us today. We're going to be explaining the baby steps. The Reason You're Broke is a show where we talk about your money, we talk about your life, we have conversations about a lot of things that people are not talking about. Today on the show, I'm going to be explaining the baby steps, and these are steps that were put together by a guy named Dave Ramsey. What he has done is he put together a series of steps of what are the things you need to be doing. What do you do first? What do you do second? What do you do third? It's seven baby steps that are all put together. It's a systematic approach for you that you can use in order to get out of debt, in order to be intentional with your money, in order to get to a place where you want to be. So thanks for tuning in. Just let me know if you can hear me one on one. Just put a comment in there. Let me know you can hear me. Let me know you can see me. And I will be back with you in a couple of minutes, in a couple of seconds. Thank you for being there. So, today, like I said, we're talking about the baby steps. What are the baby steps? I'm going to go ahead and list them out. Baby step number one is to save $1,000 in your emergency fund. Baby step two is to pay off all your debt. Baby step number three, you should save 3 to 6 months of your income of expenses. So, how much does it cost for you to take care of yourself in a month? When you know what that amount is, you're saving 3 to 6 months equivalent of that in a fully funded emergency fund. Baby step number four is you're investing 15% of your income for retirement. You're putting that toward a retirement goal. Baby step number five, you're saving up for college for your children. Baby step six, you pay off your house. Baby step seven, you're building wealth. You build wealth and give. Build and be generous. Those are the seven baby steps. We're going to take them one step at a time. So, the very first step, like I mentioned, is you saving $1,000 in your beginner emergency fund. People are going to say $1,000 is not enough to cover emergencies. I know. You are right. $1,000 is not enough to cover emergencies. But let me ask you this question. If you had an emergency today, how would you pay for it? If you had an emergency today, how would you pay for it? Most people will put this on a credit card. Most people would not have this $1,000 in a savings account or in any place where they could just go ahead and take care of this expense that came up. So your $1,000 emergency fund, it's just a fund that's there to help you keep some distance between you and debt. That's all the emergency fund is. Yes, it's not enough. It's not going to cover a lot of things. It's not even going to cover anything, but it's going to cover the little things that are like your car breaks down and you need to replace the engine, for example, or you have a flat tire and things like that. Things that would normally go on your credit card, when you do have an emergency fund, those things start to go not on the credit card because you don't have money, but they start going on. They go out of your emergency fund. That's what the beginner emergency fund is. You're saving that amount of money fast. I know, again, a lot of people don't even have that. A lot of people don't even have the room in their budgets to make room for this $1,000. So how do you make that happen? How do you do that when you're living paycheck to paycheck? How do you do that when you don't even have enough? The money you receive in the month is not even enough to cover your normal expenses, and you're constantly putting everything on your credit card. The way you do that is you start with a zero-based budget. People would say, I budget. People will say, yes, I already make a budget, but do you really make a budget? Do you make a budget? Meaning that your income, say you're going to receive $3,000 of income in a given month, $3,000 of income in a given month. Have you planned how you're going to spend every single dollar in those $3,000? Have you allocated a job to every single one of those dollars? If you haven't done that, then you don't have a budget. Because a real budget accounts for all your money that's coming in. It accounts for all the money that's coming in, and it assigns a task to every single dollar that you have. It assigns a task to every single one of those dollars. So you know for a fact that you have money or you don't have money. You know for a fact, you're not guessing. You're not putting things on your credit card because an emergency came up and you need to take care of that, and there's no other way for you to take care of them. So, how do you go about saving $1,000 for your beginner emergency fund? Take a step back. If it sounds like a huge thing for you to do, if it sounds like a huge thing for you to find $1,000 to save, take a step back and do your budget. Identify in your everyday expenses, what are the things that you're spending money on? Are there some things in there that are just wants, which is okay to have wants, right? But you need to be in control. You don't want your money to be in control of you. You don't want to be chasing after the money. You're not struggling to find money every single day. You know that you will be okay. I want to see a comment. I want to know that people are hearing what I'm saying, because this is YouTube I'm doing today, and it's the first time I'm doing only on YouTube. So I want to make sure that people are actually hearing the things that I'm saying. So if you're there and you're watching, put a comment in the chat section, just so I know that you're watching. Okay, guys? Okay. So baby step one, like I said, it's Ramsey's baby steps. Baby step one is saving $1,000 fast from your emergency fund. So if you have done what I said already, if you've already made a budget, you have a zero-based budget, and you've assigned every single dollar that you're going to receive, you've assigned a task to every single one of those dollars, but you don't have room at all. There's no place in that budget where you can squeeze a single dollar to assign to something else. Then you need to do something different. You need to do something you've never done before. You need to pick up extra hours at your work with the purpose of saving some money for your emergency fund. You could pick up extra hours at work. You could look around your house. There are things that are lying around in your house that you don't use. I know for one, I did that. My husband and I, we had lots of things lying around that we're not using. And it didn't even occur to us that we had some things just lying around that we're not using. But look around, go to your basement, go to your closet, look around. There are lots of things that you bought, you probably have never worn them, or you don't use them anymore. And you could put them on the marketplace. You could put them on Kijiji. You could put them on Facebook Marketplace. You could put them on any of those places, the places where you would sell clothes. There's Poshmark, there's Mercari, there's all of those places where you can throw. Thank you for saying that, Kennedy. Thanks for joining. Florence, thanks for joining. Now I know that you guys can hear me. Awesome. So you could list the things, those things you're not using. You might have two blenders in your home. You're not using the second one. It's just there. You might have some furniture items that are just lying in your house. You don't ever use them, but they're just there. They're blocking up space in your house. You start to look at things in a different way. You identify those things that are just occupying space in your life. You sell them. Sell with the purpose of saving $1,000 in your beginner emergency fund. That way, you know that if you're driving out of the house and you've maxed out your credit card or whatever, and something happens that you need to take care of right now, you're not thinking, you're not scratching your head and thinking, where am I going to borrow this money from? What am I going to do? Do I need to go ask my friends now to give me some money and things like that? You start to take care of those things yourself, and you start to get in control. That's what your $1,000 emergency fund is for. Because the whole purpose of this thing is you want to get out of debt. You want to get out of debt, which is a strange thing in our community. It's a weird thing. People have normalized debt. So, in order for you to get something you've never had before, which is financial peace, which is freedom, which is all of those things, you need to do things you've never done before. And credit cards, like I've always said, they make you spend more money than you plan to. Just because when you pick up a credit card, you're not thinking of how much money do I have in my checking account. You're thinking of what's available as a credit balance. What balance do I have available? How much room do I still have? And because you look at things in that way, then you start to say, well, I could just swipe my credit card. I could just take care of this thing. That's what people do. It's a psychological thing. It's a behavior thing, like I would say. So for you to get to a place where you feel like you're in control of your money, where you feel like you're in control of your life, you need to first of all take back control of your money. And the best way to do that is to put yourself in a position where you're not working for money, you're working because you enjoy what you do. Two, you're not always worried, you're not always chasing after what, I don't know, after, you're not always struggling to make ends meet, let me put it that way. Okay, so when you've made up your mind that I want to do something different, I want to get financially independent as a long-term goal, you want to get financially independent, you need to think about what are the things I can be doing today so that that goal I'm having for someday can happen. Kennedy has a comment that 80% of Canadian households are submerged in debt. No doubt debt has been normalized. That is so true. And I think it's been made worse at this point right now where with COVID, I think people became cautious for a period and then they went back to it. And debt right now, everything is just so normal for everybody to be in debt. It's a normal thing. I'm not saying normal as in you should be in debt. I'm saying the society has normalized it. So when you're trying to get out, first save $1,000 emergency fund so that you know that the thing you want to do next, which is to pay off your credit card debt, it's not being you're not putting yourself in a position where you're gonna keep going back to using the credit card. You're putting yourself in a position for success. Save your $1,000 emergency fund, a beginner emergency fund. Just have it somewhere. You don't touch it. You only touch it for emergencies. What are emergencies? I'm going to define that at a different time. I'm going to come back to it. What is it that qualifies as an emergency that would allow you to go into your emergency fund? When that's done, when this beginner emergency fund is set up and you have it saved somewhere, you move into step 2, which is paying off all your debt. Pay off all your debt. Credit cards, car loans, student loans. You can keep the mortgage for much later, but you need to get rid of all the lines of credits and all those little things that help you to dip into money you don't have. You might have an overdraft protection on your account. And I've noticed that for a lot of people who have this overdraft protection on their account, they're always in the negative, they're always in the red. It's you're going in the red because you know that if you go in the red, you're protected because you have overdraft protection. But if you take it away, you know that you don't have that money. If you call up your bank and say, you know what, cancel this thing, you know you don't have that money. You put yourself in a position where you have no options than to succeed. So pay off all your debt, credit cards, everything. And there are many, many methods of paying off debt. Some people are going to tell you to start with the highest balance and go to the smallest balance. Some people are going to tell you start with the highest interest rate, the debt with the highest interest rate, and go to the one that's the least interest rate. That way you're saving money. There are many ways that people are going to talk about, but the method I prefer is a debt snowball, meaning you're starting from the smallest balance. Forget interest rates. You're starting from the smallest balance, you're paying off, and you go into the biggest one. The math doesn't make any sense, but debt is not a math problem because the math tells you you could not afford those things. The math tells you you don't have the money to buy those things that got you into debt in the first place. So, the reason I want you guys to pay off your debt using the debt snowball, which is also the method that's promoted by the person who put together the steps, it's the debt snowball. How do you do the debt snowball? You list your debt, smallest balance to the largest balance. And you're paying all extra funds that you find, you're putting all of that on the smallest balance. Once it's paid off, you take the amount that you're paying on that smallest amount, roll it onto the next biggest debt. You're paying all of that. While doing that though, all this other big debts that you have to be paying at least the minimum balance on them. So say you have 5 credit cards, you have a car loan, you have student loans. I think the smallest ones would be the credit cards. That's the way it's been for most people. Smallest ones, credit cards, then car loan, then student loans. It's usually like that, then mortgage. Again, I said keep the mortgage aside. In this case, we're gonna pay that off at a different baby step. Baby step two is paying all those consumer debt, non-mortgage debt. But if you've gone and taken a second mortgage on your home, well, that qualifies as part of this debt. It's no longer a mortgage debt, it's part of this other small debts that you have here. Okay, so if you're having questions as we're going along, please put them in the comments. I want to answer your questions because I'm going to be saying a lot of things, but it doesn't make sense if you don't understand what I'm saying. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat section and I will respond to them as we go along. Okay, the debt snowball, let me explain that again. The debt snowball, you're listing your debt, smallest balance to largest balance, because debt is a behavior problem. It's the things you have done over and over and over that have gotten you to the position where you are at. Debt is 80% behavior and it's only 20% what you know. It's 80% behavior. So if you're that kind of person who you buy on impulse, you will swipe your credit card every single time you see something that you like. That's a behavior problem. If you're the kind of person who doesn't know how to say no, every time somebody comes to you and asks for money, you're going to take the money and you're going to give it to the person. And then you will depend on your credit card to take care of your everyday needs. That's a behavior problem. And for most people who even do this, you'd see them, they'll sit back and they're grumbling. They'll sit back and they're grumbling because they're not being cheerful. Like they know deep down that they don't have the money to take care of those things, but they're feeling guilty because you just said no to somebody who really, really needs help. But the only way you would know if you could afford to help that person is if you had your numbers written down on a piece of paper and you knew for a fact that you have the money, right? Once you have debt, there are lots of things that you need you do. If you haven't paid attention to your behavior, there are lots of things that you're going to keep doing that are even going to get you deeper and deeper and deeper in debt. So debt, again, it's a behavior problem. It's not really a math problem. There's a tiny percent of math in it, but a lot of it is behavior. So you pay off your debt using the debt snowball, smallest balance to largest balance. When you pay the small one, say you have a credit card, $500 balance, $1,000 balance, $1,500 balance, $9,000 balance, $20,000 balance. You see how I'm listing that? Smallest to largest. You've had your emergency fund, baby step one. Keep that aside. Don't touch it. It's there for a reason. It's there so that when those surprise things that you didn't put in your budget that are urgent, when they come up, you have money to use. You don't go back to your credit cards. You have that there. Don't touch it. You're paying off your debt. Pick up extra hours. Sell stuff. Every single extra dollar you find, squeeze things from your current lifestyle. Squeeze things, find money within your current budget, within your current lifestyle. Find all those extra dollars that are lying around. You would be surprised at the things you would find when you just make up your mind to do it. You will be surprised at the changes you will encounter just by making up your mind to say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of being in debt. I'm sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I make too much money to be living this broke. I want to do something different. When you make up your mind, things start to happen. You begin to find ways to make a change. You begin to find ways to improve your finances. You begin to find lots and lots of ways. The resistance I've heard from a lot of people to this is you only live once. True, you only live once. Enjoy the life you're living. Enjoy the life you're living, and that's not about getting into debt. It's about being free. And so long as you're struggling financially, you're just living in denial when you're doing all those YOLO things that you only live once. You're just living in denial. So pay off all debt, smallest debt to largest debt. There are situations where you should pay off a bigger debt first. Those are very specific situations. For example, if you're in the US and you have IRS debt, you don't want to joke with them. You would have to bypass the snowball and take care of some of those ones first. So the things that have like certain penalties on them if you don't pay, those are things that would make you rearrange the way you're doing your snowball. You will go out of order in the snowball. But as a rule of thumb, smallest to largest, that's the way that works best, because that's the way, behavior wise, you see a change, you see it happening. You pay the small one, you're like, oh wow, I paid off the small one, I can do it. You move the money to the next one. Wow, I did it. I can do it. This thing works. The people I've trained, the people I have helped, the people I've coached financially, they ended up getting out of debt faster than they thought they could. They planned to get out of debt in like a 2-year period. But my guest on the first episode of the show, she got out of debt in 1 year. Just by being intentional, they found ways to make things happen. Ourselves, we thought it was going to take a longer time, but it took a really, really, really short time, and we paid off so much more than we even thought we could. So once you believe that you can, you would find a way to do it. Once you believe you can then go and find people. I want to be your coach. I want to show you what to do. I want to show you how to do it. All you need is a desire to make it happen. And then your coach, a person like me, is going to show you how to do it for your personal situation. Okay, so pay off all your debt, smallest to largest. The other thing I need to mention there is that when it comes to the car, when it comes to your car loan, lots of people don't know that you have an online. So if you have a car loan with a financial institution, that not a financial institution, when you have a car loan with the car financing company, right? There's a way for you to access your online account with them and see what your balance is and see how long it's going to take you to pay. So when you're beginning to say, I want to get intentional, I want to do those things, you need to contact every single institution that you owe money to. You need to contact every single one of them so you have on a piece of paper all the money you owe. You know it. Write it down, because sometimes you're going to forget. If you don't write it down, you're going to forget. Log into all your online accounts, find all of those things, put them together on a piece of paper. When you come to me as a client, I do a debt snowball. It's a whole Excel spreadsheet. I put all of that together and I show you how long it's going to take for you to get out of debt if you're paying this much. You would see it on a piece of paper. You would see how much you should be paying on the smallest, how much you should be paying on every single one, and how long it's going to take for you from start to finish, if you only pay the amount that I indicated on your debt snowball sheet that I make with you. It would be great if you take that and pay even more. You would surprise yourself. You would surprise yourself how much faster you will get out. I'm going to go to comment here. So Kennedy said 80% of Canadian households are submerged in debt. No doubt debt has been normalized. Again, here, great point. I have never accepted overdraft. It just gives me more financial discipline to not let my account go into negative. That is true. That is true. Thank you, Florence, for watching, and thanks, gangs, for joining us. Amazing. So, step 1 was your starter emergency fund. Step number 2 is pay off all debt, smallest to largest. you should plan to make that happen no more than 2 years. Because within that 2 year period, you're cutting back on lifestyle, you're cutting back on eating out, you're cutting back on outings, you're cutting back on entertainment, you're cutting back on lots of things. You might have to cut back on TV, you might have to cut back on so many things. And then while cutting back on all those things, depriving yourself, you're working more, you're picking up extra hours. It's exhausting. So you want to do that as fast as possible, meaning you want to pay off as much as you can the fastest way possible. So the more things you can cut out, the faster you're going to pay off your debt, the faster you're going to get to a place where you want to be, which is to be debt free. Once that is all done, you go to baby step number 3. In baby step 3, you go back to that emergency fund which you had, the $1,000. Now you have to top it to a fully funded emergency fund. Your fully funded emergency fund has 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in there. So in doing your budget between baby step 1 and baby step 3, in doing your budget, you would have already known how much it takes for you to live as a family, how much you need financially to take care of your everyday needs in a given month. Those are things that if I ask you right now, those watching, tell me, do you know how much you need on a monthly basis to take care of yourself? Just put a yes or a no in the comment section. Let me know if my audience right now knows what it takes financially for them to live in a month. Okay, so once you know that amount, it's a 3 to 6 months. You're giving yourself your fully funded emergency fund as the 3 to 6 months worth of that amount. So if your 1 month expenses, for example, mortgage and everything included, take note, your car payments are gone, your credit card payments are gone, right? So when you get to baby step 3, all those payments that you were sending on a monthly basis to overdraft, to credit card companies, to car loans, all of those payments, you're not sending them anymore. Guess what you have? More money. You get more money. You get more freedom. Now you can start to tell yourself yes even more. You can start to say yes to so many things that you had cut out within the 1 to 2 year period that you were getting out of debt. So in your baby step 3, you might find yourself having that fully funded emergency fund in a really, really, really short time, shorter than it took you to shorter than it would have taken you if you were trying to fund your emergency fund while being in debt. So how much does it take for you to live on a monthly basis? Maybe it's $3,000, maybe it's $5,000 as a family. Maybe, I don't know, whatever your number is, it's your number. You want to plan to save that amount times 3 or times 6, 3 to 6, 3, 4, 5, whatever number you choose, whatever number you want to be comfortable with. There is a guideline though. And when we were talking one-on-one, I could give you the guidelines for what it is that you should be doing in your personal situation. You make the ultimate decision, but I would always give you what I think. I would always give you my opinion, and I always tell you what would work best for you. So I do have 2 comments over there, 2 people. One person knows how much to spend, another person approximately. That's good. It's better than not knowing at all, but you should know. So 3 to 6 months of expenses. So if your monthly expense is $3,000, you want to save $9,000, which is 3 months worth, in your emergency fund. If your monthly expense is $5,000, you want to save $15,000 in your emergency fund, minimum 3 months. You can take it all the way to 6. You don't need to go beyond that unless your situation is really, really unstable. That's the word. So if you are a person who is self-employed, for example, and there are seasons where your business fluctuates a lot, you would have to go with an average, but you will need to look again at your personal situation. What's the longest you might go without having an income? That's the time when it's very easy to fall back into debt. But when you have your fully funded emergency fund, and when you're setting up your fully funded emergency fund, you are doing that taking into account what it takes for you to live in your personal situation, what it entails, right? I hope I'm making sense there. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. If you have a question, please put it in the chat. I want to respond to that. Some people are okay. A lot of people are okay with 3 months of expenses. I would say for those who are, if you have the government backing you up in any kind of way, if I want to take back, for example, like in the COVID situation, if you have the government backing you up in any kind of way, then you know that maybe if you lose your job, you have EI or you have things like that, unemployment, you have things like that that are going to kind of supplement so you would not need to go into debt. But again, don't depend on the government to take care of you. Plan to take care of yourself. If whatever is coming from the government happens to come, let that be an excess, let that be a plus. Don't let that be the amount that you're depending on. And then if it doesn't come, you start scrambling, you start wondering what's going to happen, what's going to happen to me. COVID last year, 2020, in March, if you can just think back for a moment how you felt when your company told you we're going to go on a lockdown for 3 months. We're going to go on a lockdown and we're going to have to lay everybody off. How did you feel? I know for a fact a lot of people were scrambling, a lot of people were panicking, and I have no idea how this thing turned into a toilet paper rush, but people scrambled and people took their credit cards and they were swiping left, right, center, swiping everywhere and stocking up their homes with things that maybe they needed, right? But they were doing that out of fear. They were not doing that out of knowing. It didn't come from a place of knowing that this is what's going to happen. It came from a place of panic and a place of, are we going to survive? It came from a place of, I don't know, really from a place of fear. When you have an emergency fund, you know that when the tides start going rough, you have a solid ground to stand on. People who are financially independent today, people who are financially free, they don't even, I'm thinking the biggest guys out there, nobody knows what the future is. They can't tell you tomorrow this is going to happen, or next week this is going to happen to the stock market, or next week this is going to happen, or next year this is going to happen. Nobody knows that, and nobody can know. But the one thing that all of them have in common, the one thing that they always say is they control the controllable. They control what they can control, and they leave the rest to happen however it's happening. That's the position you want to put yourself in order to become financially free. Control what you can control, which is what? It's you. You're the one thing you can control. Your behavior, your spending, your money, those are the things you have total control over. You have no control over who's going to come and ask you for money. You have no control over what's going to happen tomorrow. You have no control over any of that. But you have control over how you respond to any of those things that are coming. Put yourself in a position where when those things start going sideways, COVID came, I don't know what's coming soon, whatever is happening, you need to know for yourself and for your family, because that's your first responsibility, you and your family. You need to know that we are going to be okay. We've done what we can. We'll leave the rest to God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Leave the rest to that. So baby step 3, save 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses in an emergency fund. That's not the money you're looking to invest. It's just money that you're putting there for when something happens. So when that's done, the next step you would then start looking at is baby step 4, which is you're investing. You're saving 15% of your income for retirement. This is a very big thing in our community, in the sense that a lot of people don't even think about retirement. A lot of people don't plan for retirement. A lot of people don't know what retirement is in the context of the nation or in the context of the general context. Again, first of all, retirement is not even an age. It's not the age when you stop working or whatever. Retirement is what financially Let me explain this in two ways. The retirement, the way we know it, is the age at which you stop working, or the time when you stop working and then you no longer go into work and all whatnot. I know people who are retired in their 30s, not because they're old, but because they have attained a level of financial independence that they don't need to work in order to take care of themselves. If we can put ourselves in a position where we're able to retire, where we're not working for money, that's a good goal. But that may not be your goal. If that's not your goal, you just want to retire at the time when you're going to retire, which is 65, 70, or whatever age that is, you should start investing 15% of your income towards retirement. So you're planning to take care of yourself when you get to that stage. In our community, in our African society, we somehow depend on the people we're taking care of. Our retirement plan is my children are going to take care of me. That's our retirement plan. Unfortunately, that's most people's retirement plan. They say our children are going to take care of us because we took care of them. And they say the government is going to take care of us because we contribute into social security, or we contribute into a retirement pension plan. Excuse me. That's the regular one that's coming from work. But have you ever for a moment stopped to think of what retirement really is? Have you ever for a moment stopped to think of when you want to retire? You can retire at 40. You can retire now if financially you're able to, if financially you don't need to take care of, you don't need to worry about making an income you don't need to worry about working for money. That's what I'm trying to say. So back to the baby step. In baby step 4, after you finish baby step 1, 2, 3, again, each of those steps, you're doing them one by one. Step 1, you're saving for your emergency fund, you're doing only that. Step 2, you're paying off your debt, you're doing only that. Step 3, you're saving up for your emergency fund, fully funded, you're doing only that. Step 4, because 1, 2, 3 are gone. Step 4 now, whatever your income is, let me just use round numbers. If you make $100,000, you should be putting aside 15% of that. 15% of that is what? 15,000, right? So you're putting aside at least $15,000 of your income towards a retirement goal. How you want to invest those are things you're going to have to discuss with your investment advisor. But there are so many options. There's mutual funds, there's stocks, there's bonds, there is index funds. There are so many options there. There's real estate, there's many things. You should be saving 15% of your income towards that retirement goal. If you're planning to, of course, you're going to be planning to retire. You should be saving your income, 15% of that, towards your retirement goal. So, how you want to invest that is up to you. There are guidelines. I could talk to you personally. I'm not an investment advisor, but I could tell you what I do. And I'm going to tell you what I do in the private session. If you ask me that one-on-one, I'm going to tell you what I do and what we do, my husband and I, and things like that. I know people here in the audience who invest in real estate. I know people who just invest in mutual funds. I know people who invest in index funds. Which one of those is best? It's a conversation for another day. And again, I don't think I'm allowed to talk about that, so I'm not going to explain any of those here because I'm not an investment advisor. I'm a financial coach. Okay, so I want to go to comments here. So this information is very helpful. Thank you, gangs. Kennedy, how do you separate frugality from living a miserable life for the purpose of building a better future? Can you cut all these expenses while still living a normal life? Yes, you can. So let me give an example here. For example, let me just take a common expense that a lot of people have, right? Television, TV. You can cut back on TV, and that doesn't take anything from you. You can cut back on, maybe you have a cell phone and you have a home phone line. Who calls you on that thing? Right. You can cut off the home phone line. That saves you whatever amount of dollars you're paying towards your home phone. So that's TV off, home phones gone, but you still can communicate with people because guess what? You have internet. Everybody calls on WhatsApp these days, and you have your cell phone. People are still going to talk to you on phone. Nobody just, it's just you're paying for things you don't need. So things again like more expenses, things like eating out. What's important for you is to eat. It's not where you eat, it's that you eat. And if you're thinking about your long-term goals, there are certain sacrifices you're going to make now and you will still be able to live a normal life by your standards, not by society standards. Because by society standards, oh my God, people need to be doing so many things. But at the end of the day, when you're in trouble, when you're deep down in debt, when you're getting homeless and all whatnot, it's not the society or it's not the community that's going to look at you. It's you. It's you. You are your responsibility. You have to make a plan for yourself. You have to take care of your family. That's your first and foremost duty, obligation, responsibility. It's you and your family. That's your first and foremost. So, what a normal life is depends on what you define as normal. But yes, you can still enjoy everyday living just by cutting back. In a typical African family, the people who want to eat goat meat every day, I say goat meat. The people want to eat goat meat every day. Do you need to eat goat meat every day? Those are expensive, right? There are things you can cut back while you are trying to get out of debt. There are lots of things that you have to do because you know you have a reason why you're doing those things. You have a goal. So it's very important, first of all, to want to do it. It's important to know why you want to do it. And then you figure out the how. And that how, you might have to ask questions to people. You might need to come talk to a financial coach like myself, but you will have to get your spouse involved, get your kids involved, and let everybody know this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. Everybody gets on board, and it makes it so much easier to do the whole thing. I do have a 14-day money finder thing on my website. I'm just going to share that right here. I have a 14-day money finder thing. When you go to my website, that's the first thing that pops on your screen. It tells you reset your finances, find money in 14 days. It's a 14-day email series, and I send you every single day. I send you an email with a little task that you get to do for that day. By the end of the 14 days, you would have found ways to save so much money. You would have found ways to cut back without depriving yourself, but you would have found so many areas where you're currently just wasting money. The 14-day thing, it's 14 days for you to reset your finances. It helps you change your behavior because like I said, debt is a behavior problem, it's not a math problem. My 14-day finder helps you identify those areas of your personal spending, of your habits, of your everyday expenses that are stealing money from you. So if you want to get started on that, head on over to my website, idaazefo.com, IDAAZEFOR.com, and just click on take the challenge and it's going to come to you. It's no longer free though. I just need to say that out there. It was free before. A lot of people took it and they benefited from it. It's no longer free. So if you want to do it, I'm just going to have to give you information on how to make that happen. Okay, but thanks so much for that question, Kennedy. Here it's about retirement and meant to retiring in my 40s. Absolutely, that's a really, really good goal. Here, question at Kennedy. I think budgeting will allow you to separate frugality from living miserably. Everything should be included in the budget for you not to feel as if you're missing out. Yep, that's true. And you can definitely, well, you should, in your budget, you should include a category for having fun. You just have to be intentional then about what that fun is. So maybe your fun right now is going to the cabaret every day. It's not happening now with COVID, but maybe your fun right now is something that is really, really expensive. But when you put yourself on a budget, you start to ask yourself, what is it that would give me the most satisfaction for the least amount of money? You start to think a lot more thought into it. At first, you were just looking at it from a price point. I'm going to buy this person this gift that costs this much. But is that really what the person likes? When you're on a budget, you start to ask yourself more and more questions. You start to ask yourself more meaningful questions, and you start to do more meaningful things. And then you ask yourself, but why was I even spending all this money before in the first place? So it really just gives you, it puts you back in control. That's the word. It puts you in control of your money. Because again, the reason you're in debt is because you were acting on impulse for a lot of things. You're not in control. You're not the boss of your money. But when you become back the boss of your money, you tell it where to go, you tell it what to do, you tell it how to do it, you tell it when to do it. So, guys, as you're on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed to my page, please hit the subscribe button. And if you're getting any value from this, give a thumbs up right there on your screen. Okay. So, right here, we say good points. We saw that already. These days, smart TVs have made having cable unnecessary. Yeah. You just need internet and you need a smart TV, or you get a smart TV if that's what you want to, in order for you to cut back on certain other things. Here, we'll need some advice on investing the funds from point 4, retirement funds. So we can talk about that on one-on-one, Florence. Like I mentioned, I'm not a financial advisor or investment advisor. So the things I can tell you right here on the show. Okay. But a lot of people, like I've mentioned, do invest in mutual funds. They invest in stocks, in bonds, in ETFs, in what's the other one? Index funds, and in real estate. That's a very big one. A lot of people invest in. So the key thing is to invest in what you understand. So make sure you understand it. There's Bitcoins out there as well, but I wouldn't really call that. Anyway, let's not even get into Bitcoins. But you need to understand it in order to invest in it. That's the thing. So baby step 4 is you investing 15% of your income for retirement. That's 15% before taxes. If you make $100,000, at least $15,000 should be getting towards retirement investment every single year. You divide that up by the number of months and you know how much you're sending out every single month. And the best way to do all of those things is to automate them. So you're not waiting to see what's left after you take care of your expenses. You're taking that from the top. Before your paycheck comes in, or once your paycheck comes in, take that amount out, send it to wherever it's going. You will find a way to squeeze your life into whatever is left. But if you're waiting to save what's left at the end of the month, you're not going to have it. So that's something that if you only take one thing from this, take that. Okay. Here, okay, super. So no more questions right there. I'm going to go back to baby steps. Baby step number 5. If you notice so far in all of this, I haven't even talked about saving for your children's college. Because taking care of yourself should be a priority over paying for your students' college. People might say no, 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 but here's the thing. I think your kids would prefer to, well, no, you have a responsibility to take care of your retirement. It's not your children who are supposed to care for you in retirement. I think our community has made that normal and it's acceptable and it's what we do. But we, living in the diaspora right now, think about how much money you need to spend every single month. And think about how expensive life has become over the years. With that in mind, think about how much more expensive it will be for your children when they get to adulthood, when you will be retiring and the children are in adulthood. Think about how much more expensive it will be for them to take care of themselves, right? When you think about things like that, and then you ask yourself, maybe right now you're able to send a few $100s to your parents back home, and it can take care of them. But if your children gave you that same amount of money while you're here, do you think you can take care of yourself on a monthly basis for, say your child is generous enough and gives you even $1,000, let's even take it all the way up to $1,000, and then your children are giving you every month First of all, that's a strain on their budget, extremely strenuous on their budget to take care of you in your retirement with $1,000. But if that's what you're getting from your kids, which is really, really generous, can you survive on $1,000 a month in retirement? Can you? I don't think so. Because only your rent, if you haven't paid off your home by then, you would still be paying a mortgage, right? Or if you don't have a home, you will be paying for rent. Only your rent will probably be taking the whole $1,000. Maybe the government is going to give you a few hundreds every single month. You're thinking about groceries and you're thinking about feeding, and you're thinking about groceries, you're thinking about everyday living. So electricity and housing and all of those kind of things. So it really gets expensive. And like I mentioned, a lot of us don't think about planning for retirement, but we should. And that takes priority over baby step 5, which is saving for your children's college. You have to put 15% of your income towards your retirement. That's number 4. Number 5, if you have the extra, which again, if you're following the steps, you will have. If you have that extra, then you should start putting money towards the children's college fund. Last time on the show, on the episode about student loans, we talked about how to go to college debt free. If you happen to get to this stage and you haven't saved anything for your children and they're ready to go to school, you have options. That's the reason also why I say baby step 4 takes precedence over step 5. Step 4, you have to save for yourself. Step step 4, you save for yourself. Step 5, you're saving for college. They have options. They have scholarships. They have grants. They have work study. They have so many options. But it would be good for you as a parent to save up for your children's college. How much you're saving for college? That's up to you. Which kind of schools do your children want to go to? What do they want to study? How expensive is it going to be? How young or how old are they right now? So, with all those things taken into consideration, you will have a good estimate of how much you should be putting towards a college fund for your children. In Canada, we have the options of the registered education savings plan, and the government kind of matches a certain amount that you're putting in there. In the US, you have the 529 and you have other options. So those are just options, and those are things that are out there, those are things that are available, but you would only get that information when you start to look for them. So I'm hoping that this episode today is at least giving you some of that information that you need. So baby step 4, you're saving 15% of your income. Baby step 5, you're saving up for your children's college. And while doing all of that, you know you're still paying off your house because you haven't finished paying it off. In baby step 6, you are paying off your house. Baby step 4, 5, and 6, you do those together. So while you're making your big number, while you're making your $100,000 income and you're putting $15,000 towards your retirement, you're putting a certain amount of that towards your children's education fund, and you're putting another big percentage of that towards payment of your house. You're paying extra. You note again, by this time you don't have any of those other debts that you had at the beginning, right? So you have more money, you have more options. You're taking vacations and all whatnot. You're doing all of those things, but you should be planning to pay off your house. Paying off your house is not a very popular opinion among banks, among real estate investors. It's not a very popular opinion. So first, you need to know why you want to do that. What are the advantages or the disadvantages for you? And don't let a tax person tell you that is because you get a tax refund because you're paying interest on your home. Because you don't get a refund for the interest that you're paying on your home. You get a tax credit, which depends on whatever your tax rate is. Those are things I can explain again one-on-one if you come to me on a private coaching basis. Okay. So just to recap that, baby step 4, 5, and 6, you're doing those together. 4, it's your saving 15% of your income. 5, you're saving for your children's college. And 6, you're paying off your house. And when your house is completely paid off, guess what you have? A lot of money. A lot of money. You owe nobody a thing. Baby step 7 is you're building wealth and you're giving. What are the world building options? There are so many, and I could talk about those in another episode. Okay, so I want to see if you have any comments, if you have any questions, please put them up. And right now I have the full, all the 7 baby steps. They're going on the thing at the bottom, on the banner at the bottom, so you can see them. If you wanted to take them down, please go ahead and take them. And if you have questions, please let me know. I want to answer more and more of your questions. I just want to go back and see if I missed anybody's question right there. And while you're on my channel, please subscribe and give a thumbs up if you're getting any value from any of this. Okay, so I don't see any more questions right there. If you're ready to get started on your personal journey, I want you to take action today. I want you to begin your 14-day money finder challenge on my website. It's right there. I shared it already. I'm just going to show that again. When you click to my website, that's the first thing you see. If you put in here, take the challenge, you put in your, if you click on take the challenge, it just pops up and you can put in your email address, and I'm going to start sending you a couple of emails. It's 14 days only, but in the 14 days, you will gain a different perspective on your money. You will start to do those things that you need to do in order to get you to a place where you've never been. So if you want to get started right there, that's the information. And I'm hoping to see more and more people do different, do better with their money. Okay. So questions, please. If you have questions, let me know. Okay, in the absence of questions, so for those watching, and you might be wondering, how do you get in touch with me? You can get in touch with me by email, by WhatsApp. If you go on my Facebook page, my WhatsApp is right there. But the WhatsApp number again, it's 514-400-4490. If you want to WhatsApp me, I will be able to communicate with you one-on-one. But you can reach me on all the platforms. I'm even on TikTok right now, and I do a couple of things out there that's just to inspire people. It's just to get people intentional with their money. And then I also do group coaching. So if you belong to a group, an association, I don't know, CWA, Cameroonian Association, or whatever, any association you belong to, and if your group is interested in having me come over there to talk to a group of people, because I know sometimes it's hard to raise your hand and say, you know what, I need help, I have a problem. But if you belong to a group, you can I could come over to your group and I could have a group session with everybody there. And there we're going. I'm going to be answering your questions one-on-one. I could answer a lot more questions in person than I would do online. And you have your privacy, you know, it's staying within that little group there. And if after giving a talk to your group, if you want to meet me again one-on-one, you will definitely have a discount because you belong to that group. Okay, so if you're right here and you belong to a group, please talk to your association and you can tell them, sometimes guys, we have those things where we raise money to take care of a project back home. We raise money to take care of certain things in the village, and just, it's not because it personally benefits you, but just because you belong to an association that's trying to do something for change in the village. That's very good. That's very good. But I want to ask you this question. Wouldn't it be amazing if you also sometimes did something for yourself as the association? These are things that we should start doing as a community. These are things that we should do to empower ourselves, to share information, to get more and more independent. We can get ahead as a community. If every single person decides today, I'm going to do something different, I'm going to do something better, I'm going to take care of myself in a way that I've never done before, it starts to snowball, because the people around you see what you're doing. The people around you see the changes that you've made, and somehow they get impacted, and somehow every other person, it becomes a chain reaction. Every other person starts to do better, and by the time you know it, guess what? The whole community is doing so much better just because you as an individual decided to take action. So don't underestimate the power you have. don't underestimate yourself. Don't think all of this is so scary you don't even know where to start. That's what I'm here for. If you want to get in touch with me, get in touch with me one on one. We will get started on your personal journey. So, in the absence of questions, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. It's been an amazing session. And again, hit subscribe, and I would love to talk to you one on one. Thanks for watching. Bye now.